SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
You're listening to Sports Talk Mississippi On Demand, presented by Pearl River Resort. Escape to Choctaw, Mississippi and enjoy world-class gaming, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and Geyser Falls Water Park. Escape to Pearl River Resort.
Sports Talk Mississippi is on the air. Sports Talk Mississippi is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. To the junction, in the Grove, and to the top. This is Sports Talk Mississippi. On your radio and in the game, right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome in on this Monday. So glad that you guys are with us. We got a busy show. Every Monday is busy. Even in the summer, somehow it ends up being busy. But we're glad you're here. Ole Miss sweeps LSU. Dominated the Tigers, really, for 26 of the 27 innings. There was a very weird inning yesterday where LSU put up a 7 spot. Aside from that, it was not close in Oxford this weekend.
And that's it. That's all we're going to talk about today on Sports Talk Mississippi. Great weekend for the Rebels.
Southern Miss falls on the road at Louisiana.
I tried, Southern fans. Can't say I didn't try.
That's a tough one there. To get back into the hosting conversation, not only do you have to stack sweeps, you have to,
you got to get some sweeps.
You got to get a lot of sweeps. And then Mississippi State, 0-6 after sweeping Ole Miss in the SEC. And a lot of questions have come from that. Rory McIlroy wins the Masters, and it was not comfortable at all. After Friday, I was worried we were going to get a boring weekend. He was going to coast to the finish. No. He lost the lead at one point, ended up beating Scotty Scheffler by 1. Scotty just missed a putt on 17 that just wiggled the wrong way, and if it would have gone in, we'd have had a heck of a playoff. But it was still a fun tournament. We got a college football fix, all 3 baseball coaches coming your way. Busy show. I'm Michael Borkey. He is Brian Hadad, and we are so glad you're here.
We are glad you're here in the Pearl River Resort Studios. Pearl River Resort, great place to book your next fantastic weekend getaway. And whatever you want to do on that weekend, we'll make it happen for you at Pearl River Resort. Great food, great live entertainment, championship golf, and, of course, exciting action out there on the floor. Book it now at pearlriverresort.com. C-Spire text line open to you at 601-879-4395. With C-Spire, it's easier than ever to get all the devices you want in one move with the Ultimate Connect bundle. Right now, new and current customers can get a free phone, free watch, free tablet, free 100 gigs of data. It's just $90. That includes the new iPhone 17 and the Samsung Galaxy S26 for free. Free smartwatch, free tablet to go with it. C-Spire, more like Free Spire. Don't wait. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com or stop by your local C-Spire store today. C-Spire, inspired by you.
All right, I will read the first message we got on the show today before it started at 3:04. Hey, Dad, I think you said it perfectly on TNL. It's like Ole Miss monstarred our rear end in Oxford and stole our powers. Early in the season, but Mississippi State was having quality at-bats by everyone. Walks, hit by pitches, doubles, etc. Now, no one in the lineup is producing. I was along with you that looking at our lineup, their lineup, it was where where are teams going to get an out? Now everyone that comes up, I have no confidence that they're going to get a hit. Just have to get quality at-bats back.
It really is something to watch State these last 2 weekends, and they have turned into Ole Miss, what Ole Miss was prior to the series, right? Like it's either solo home run or nothing. They're not stringing together hits anymore. They're not working counts. This weekend, Borkey, 32 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's what State's hitters did.
It's crazy that lineup that did...
Can't get on base.
And you look at Ole Miss's pitching staff, they had a great weekend at the plate against a better pitching staff than they've faced each of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so it's just gotten away from State. I really, as it is in almost any slump, right? I feel like the first big game they have, if they go to South Carolina Friday and just light them up and win that game, I think they'll go right back on the good path. But right now they're in. It's more than a slump; it's a funk at this point. And the first time in school history, back-to-back sweeps at Duty Noble Field, never happened before. So just a really rough couple of weekends when, coming out of Oxford, Mississippi State was on top of the world, and now they are right in the middle of the pack.
We've gotten 2 messages on this already. I'll read just one of them, though. And, I mean, people are joking, but I see this everywhere. Poor Robbie. 0-6 at SEC play since the start of state 1878. Are there any coincidences with this?
This is so stupid.
I think 99% of the people are joking, and then there's the very loud 1%.
I've looked at his mentions. There's a lot of hate in there for this for whatever reason, and it's just dumb. Y'all have got to stop.
I understand the people that don't like it. The people that I think most people are joking that since its inception, the losing has started. But there is 1% that believe that there's a correlation. There are people out there that think that it's Robbie's fault that the baseball team has started losing.
Those people are not smart, so let's go with that.
Well, I mean, there was a very interesting weekend on the internet. Let's just put it that way.
I know for sure.
Even Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I had fun with AI. Did you see my Greg Sankey tweet, Hadad?
I did see
Greg Sankey drinking the Azalea. So if you guys didn't see it, Lane Kiffin tweeted and since deleted a response to the video going around of an LSU fan and a 52-year-old LSU fan in the Ole Miss student section punching a student that he thought threw a beer at him. In fact, it was a different student, but, threw a punch, made the kid bleed a little bit out of the side of his face and got arrested and spent the weekend in jail. Lane Kiffin goes to Twitter and says, one thing you, of all people, responding to Matt Bowers, a big Louisiana card dealer guy, of all people know is LSU fans aren't ever going to lose a fight to Ole Miss fans ever. Hashtag FAFO, and you know what that means. Mess around and find out with a different word.
Mess doesn't start with an F.
And I know, knowing what I know about Greg Sankey, is he spent the weekend at Augusta. And famously, at Augusta National, you cannot have your phone. Now, Sankey might get into a tier of people that have access to their devices. The internet was mad that Trump's granddaughter got to bring her phone on the course. The president's granddaughter is in a protected class of people that get to bring their device places where you're not supposed to have your device, considering that she's the granddaughter of the president of the United States. There's special access for people like her. I think Sankey might be on that tier, but if he was not, could you imagine? He spends all day at Augusta. It's a beautiful Sunday. He gets to watch Rory win and Scotty shooting up the leaderboard and has a handful of Azalea cocktails, which is really just like a vodka drink with, what is it, triple sec or something? I don't know. It's pink. Or a Crow's Nest beer, and he has a great day. Then he gets to his car and he looks at his phone and he sees that Lane Kiffin is encouraging fighting amongst Ole Miss and LSU fans ahead of what will be, that game in September. Probably not as enjoyable of a Sunday as he wanted it to be.
I doubt it. Yeah,
because you can't have that. But no, I'm sure he found out a lot earlier than my little fantasy brain wanted him to. I was looking for him on the course too, where they would show crowd shots because Drew Brees was there.
Been funny if there had been like a President Bush thing, somebody just whispering in his ear like Kiffin has been inciting Ole Miss fans and LSU fans. And you see
that. I was trying to make that work on AI. Yeah. I couldn't get the faces to match up the right way. It just wouldn't do it for me.
That's the correct meme for that one, yeah.
So I did a picture of Greg Sankey drinking a pink cocktail, and I said, when Lane tweets something dumb, but you can't have your phone. So, yeah, bad weekend on the internet around here, hey, Dad. So, yes, it's Robbie's fault, 1878. That's why State has gotten swept 2 weeks in a row.
Stop.
Why have they gotten swept 2 weeks in a row?
They've played like, what? Poop. Crap. Can I go any stronger than crap? I think crap is as high as I can go. They've played terribly. Their offense has abandoned them. I didn't think it was possible for all 9 guys to be in a slump at once. I don't know if Georgia just game planned for them and everybody's going to copy that the rest of the way, but they just don't look comfortable at the plate. Pitching-wise, they've been okay. Defensively, they've been okay. They've had a couple of problems here and there, but by and large, it's just they have lost the ability to hit the baseball, and that's not going to work.
Somebody says, I had 4 too many azaleas yesterday. Today's been an absolute wash in the office. All right, flex on us. All right? I was watching on my iPad in the backyard, and you were out there enjoying what was a really fun tournament. Thanks for rubbing it in our faces, my friend.
Well, maybe they just had the azaleas at home. We don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You could buy them on the internet, and they would ship the package to you.
Yeah.
With a bottle and all that stuff. But, yeah. Somebody says Pano season. Owen Pano. That's got to be the first question to Mike Bianco is, man, you put him back in the lineup to DH, and he has...
It delivered.
He's delivering for you. And
I know he had a home run. He had an RBI double, I believe.
And he's just having productive at-bats. It's just...
That's all you want.
He's putting the ball in play, moving runners over. It's just very what you thought he was going to be the whole time. He was unplayable at points of his very early career. Not unplayable anymore. Sports Talk Mississippi. We'll be back in just a bit.
From the Venable... It's time for more Sports Talk Mississippi.
Finally.
On SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk app, and at supertalk.fm.
We got this on the text line. Absolutely no rhyme or reason for the baseball rankings. Talking about D1, I assume. And I realize that rankings don't determine anything as opposed to RPI. Ole Miss goes 4-0 for the week with a sweep of the team ranked ahead of it and stays with the same ranking. Ole Miss stayed at 25 despite beating, at the time, a ranked LSU 3-0 over the weekend. He says, also see Florida, remember the team that Ole Miss beat last weekend in Gainesville, moves from not ranked to 20th, 5 spots ahead of Ole Miss. Also, Kansas moved from unranked to 18th, 7 spots above Ole Miss. Auburn, who moved up 2 spots to 13th after going 2-2 this past week. Auburn has 2 fewer wins than Ole Miss. See Florida State, who went 0-4 last week, has 2 fewer wins than Ole Miss. Seminoles are ranked 8th. Good thing Ole Miss went 4-0 rather than 5-0. So yeah, Ole Miss stayed at 25 in the D1 rankings, 1 spot behind Boston College, Arizona State at 23, Southern Miss at 22, UCF at 21, Florida at 20, as he mentioned. State all the way down to 17, 1 spot behind Arkansas at 16, Oklahoma 14, Auburn 13, Alabama 11, A&M 10, Coastal Carolina all the way up to number 7, by the way.
They're playing good baseball.
Georgia 5, Texas 4, and that is it for the SEC. You said my answer in your text, though. It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. That Ole Miss sweeps a team that was ranked ahead of them and does not move at all in the rankings, but they get jumped by multiple unranked teams, one of which that they beat on the road just a week ago. It doesn't make any sense. But what I said on Twitter, I'll say it here, though. And you said it, too. It doesn't matter. Is the recognition in the top 25 great? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But what is your RPI right now? It's in really good shape. What is your SEC record right now? After the sweep, you're in great shape to have the back half of the league schedule mean that you can play for a host. I think with Ole Miss's strength of schedule and RPI, I think 16 gets you a host. I think that's the magic number. Somebody asked me last night if 15 will get there. I don't think so. I think 16 is your magic number. So that's what you worry about. Don't worry about the rankings. They don't matter. Your metrics matter, and your metrics are good. And what's crazy, Hadad, this is the craziest part about it. Ole Miss swept LSU, who was ranked, and their RPI went down.
Yeah, LSU was ranked, but their RPI is terrible.
Was in the 70s.
It's terrible. Yeah. Right now, if you're just going by RPI, LSU's not making the tournament. I mean, what are they currently? You said they're in the 70s. Let's get the actual number. They are 74th. So they're 74th in the RPI. They're not making the tournament this second. This weekend they host Texas A&M, and then they got to come to Starkville. And, kind of what we were talking about with some before. Somebody's got to win that series, right?
And LSU's pitching staff is horrendous.
It's really tough. It's really not good. And maybe that's what Mississippi State needs to see. State's got business of its own this weekend, going to South Carolina. So I don't think that South Carolina is rejuvenate by any stretch of the imagination, but they have played better baseball since they moved on from Paul Maneri.
They're not going to lay down and let State have 3 this weekend.
They should have gotten 2 off of Arkansas. They were able to beat Texas in a game. They sweep Missouri this week. This will be a difficult series for Mississippi State, no question.
Yeah, Ole Miss dropped several spots in the RPI. Right now, metrically, the Missouri State series is helping Ole Miss more than the LSU series.
It's so good to have that. I don't know how that ended up that way. Think about all the teams that Ole Miss could have scheduled, right? They could have scheduled anybody. If Ole Miss, if I had told you prior to the start of the season that Ole Miss, it was week 2, right?
I think so.
Had a 3-game series with Monmouth, or a 3-game series with Jacksonville, or a 3-game series with Georgia Southern, right?
Yeah.
You'd been like, well, yeah, sure, those are teams that make sense to have a 3-game series with. And then I say Missouri State, and you're like, yeah, makes sense to have a 3-game series with. Well, I just listed the first 3 teams are all sub 120 in RPI, and then there's Missouri State that's currently sitting at 16.
Amazing, isn't it?
And they keep winning games in conference, so they're not going to drop too terribly much as long as they keep winning games.
Yeah, root for them to win their conference, Ole Miss fans, because that series is helping you. But, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this. People thought I was joking on Twitter. I was being serious. If you're going to host a regional, you have got to win your home series against bad teams in your league. And LSU qualifies as a bad team in your league right now.
Yeah.
And not only did you win the series, but you took 3, and that is super important. And look, LSU's...
It makes up for... You won a road series and then you sweep at home. It makes up for getting swept by Mississippi State.
It does. And now, everybody would have taken the position that Ole Miss is currently in right now with the back half of their league schedule. They're 1 game above 500 in conference. Do that again, and you are hosting. Go 8-7 in conference again, and you're hosting a regional in Oxford.
Yeah.
So that changed a lot. And LSU's pitching staff, it's hard to gauge if they've done dramatic improvement at the plate or it was a product of competition. But there are some things that are happening, even against a lesser opponent like LSU versus Florida. And you won the Florida series, but the bats weren't really there.
Right.
You are moving the ball around. There is a squeeze bunt mixed in there this weekend. It's happening on singles, base hits. Not every guy up there is looking to hit a 500-foot home run, it seems. Federico's bat's coming on. Pano has been a good addition to the lineup. So there are some things happening with this team that they've stopped being pathetic in the field. Mm-hmm. I still don't think they're like great there, but they're not just booting the ball all over the yard anymore. So
they had a couple of errors on Friday, but nothing came of it. Am I right?
Right. 3 actually.
Yeah.
But they didn't punish them. So there's a lot to like, but at the end of the day, it's obvious that this pitching staff is exceptional. Because this is an LSU team that mashed their way to a series win over Tennessee, who just went to Starkville and swept. Mm-hmm. And to keep them at bay with the exception of 1 inning for 3 games just shows you that now that you've solidified the rotation, it's a dangerous pitching staff, and Rabe being your guy on Game 3 with his stuff is just such a huge weapon, and it took them a few weeks to figure that part of it out because it was Libert instead of Rabe, but now that they've made that switch, and you figured out who your closer is now, there's so much talent on that pitching staff. There's a couple of LSU media members over the weekend that called Ole Miss's pitching staff mediocre.
Ooh.
And I was like, you guys don't know ball.
That's a miss.
You guys swung and missed there, but more impressive than anything else is the fact that they are pitching the heck out of it. They have been all season, but it's continuing to get better as the weeks go on, and that's why they swept this weekend. LSU, with the exception of 1 inning, did nothing in this series.
We talked about it a little bit, but go back to that 9th inning against Florida. If Udemark doesn't hit that ball out of the ballpark and they lose that game 2-0, I don't think what happens this weekend happens for Ole Miss. I think that we're going to look back in a few weeks, and that moment is going to be like their season turned around right there. If they don't have that moment where Utermark hits that home run, ties the game, they go on to win, I think Ole Miss might have just sputtered their way to a 2 seed in somebody else's regional. Instead, they're going to be in the discussion, the host, the whole way through if they keep playing like this.
Yeah, if they go into host, you're exactly right. That Utermark 2-run home run in Gainesville, they were down 2-0, 20 straight innings without scoring a run. Leadoff man in the inning walks, and then Florida leaves a belt-high fastball to Judd Utermark, and the wind's blowing out. It was going over the fence regardless, but wind's blowing out. He just sends one to the moon, and then they were off to the races. So big, not a big series win from a metrics perspective, but getting a sweep. Now the conversation about the team has changed in what their outlook is with the back half of the season. Big test upcoming this weekend, though. They got to go to Knoxville, and Hadad, you saw Tennessee up close, and no Vitello. They are clearly inconsistent, but they are also still super talented.
They're a good baseball team. They're not as good as Mississippi State made them look this weekend, I don't think. I think this weekend, and I think last weekend to a certain extent too, although I think Georgia is better than Tennessee. It's been more about what Mississippi State is not doing at the plate and not doing overall. But the thing I talked about last week where Tennessee, I thought that mentally they might be a little fragile, they got all that back this weekend. They look like the Tennessee of old, running around in the dugout, talking noise, and that is going to be a very tough series.
Yeah, I saw the waving bye thing and stuff. They have not lost. They haven't lost that part of them.
No. And hey, when you sweep, you can do those kind of things.
To the victor go the spoils.
You can't have any problem with that. With the way Mississippi State played, the State deserved to get that kind of treatment from their visitors this weekend, and it's been 2 weekends in a row like that. And Bulldogs have got to figure out what is wrong with them. We'll talk to Brian O'Connor later in the show and get his thoughts on what's wrong with the Bulldogs and what's going on. But we will talk next. Coach Christian Ostrander from Southern Mississippi, his team. A tough series loss on the road at Louisiana. His team starting to find their way on the outside looking in of the hosting discussion. If you look at the rest of their schedule, it's going to be very tough for them. They've got to start piling up wins. We'll talk to him when we get back to find out about the Golden Eagles weekend and the week ahead for Southern Mississippi. The Sports Talk Mississippi, we're just getting started with you on a Monday.
From This Talk Mississippi, your all-access pass to all things sports in Mississippi. Sports Talk Mississippi on the SuperTalk app, your local SuperTalk station, and at supertalk.fm.
Welcome back in Sports Talk Mississippi. We go to the Farm Bureau guest line for the first time today. We're joined by head coach of Southern Miss baseball, Christian Ostrander, after a weekend at Louisiana. And coach, let's start with the start of the weekend. A really great game all around, pitching, hitting, and everything in game one of this series.
Yeah, sure was. I mean, it was really fun to watch. First game in a while that I felt like we just, had all aspects really going good. And, it was a great Friday night. Harris was awesome. The offense, I think, scored, crooked numbers, 4 different innings. So, yeah, just a good win that we were hoping that would, carry us through and propel us through the weekend.
Harris goes over 100 pitches. I'm curious as the thought process with any pitcher, any time to whether extend him in an outing, give him a pitch count, and how do you guys go about deciding that, or do you wait until he is in the game in the moment to, hey, I'll let him, extend this thing a little? Like, how do you go through that process to decide whether or not to let a pitcher go north of 100 pitches?
I mean, it's not something to do a ton, to be honest with you. I think, they got to earn that, and then you got to know, the just the composition of that young man's body, and really how did he get to that pitch count? Was it spread out, not much, very much labor, and that was the case. But as part of his growth and developing into a Friday night guy is to hopefully be able to get you 7 or 8, and and so to do that, you got to let him extend a little bit, to build up that stamina. So, it was kind of by design, but he earned that right too.
Coach, we got a question here on the text line, but it's a great question. I was going to ask kind of a version of it anyway. You dropped the next 2 games. In your team's losses this year, is there a common denominator in there, or is it just something where each game is just kind of unique?
Unfortunately, I would say some of the losses in this 10-8 stretch we've been on, at least 4 of them in my opinion, has been bullpen implosion in the middle innings. Guys that were so reliable, your first 18 games or whatever, that just hadn't got it done, man. And it's not always. There's, but some of those moments, some of those, I can think of a Saturday game against App State, a Saturday game against Old Dominion, at least one of these this weekend. I mean, there's 3 right there, and I can think of a few others that if we'd have done our job a little bit more and what we are capable of doing, that I think the outcomes could have been very different.
Do you think that's just an experience thing? I know you've got a lot of young arms in that bullpen. Is that just these guys haven't been through the wars yet?
No, unfortunately, it's some of my older guys. It's a couple, and I'm not going to name names, but it's just a couple of them that, that have the ability, that have thrown a lot of innings here and has been in that moment this year and years before that are just, I don't know. I don't know if it's a pressing issue. I don't know if, we're creating some kind of a self-fulfilling monster there, but we just gotta get back to what we do well and attacking the zone, making the beat you swinging the sticks. And unfortunately for some of these losses here lately, that's been a little bit of a characteristic.
I have no doubt in your career you've dealt with stuff like this before. Is this something where I was watching the Masters all weekend, and Rory, for example, leaned on something that happened in 2009 in order to make a decision for this one. Do you go back on years past, and do you have notes that you keep of, hey, I ran into this problem back then, and this is how we fixed it? Or is every year, every bullpen so different that you don't lean on the past and you just focus on what you have right now to fix it?
No, I mean, you pull on your experiences, from the past. And yes, I mean, it's hard to understand. It's hard to predict. It's hard to know when it's coming, but the storms come where you're just like going, hey, man, where'd you go? What's happened here? Or where it gets contagious and it's more than one. And then they get out of it, man. They get back to their form. But ultimately, it's when some adversity strikes, some young men can shake it off quicker than others. And that's a character trait. And it's something that you try to instill in them and discipline them with and prepare them for. But ultimately, it's an innate thing that they have to handle.
Coach, the Sunday game, you back and forth kind of game. You get close in the 6th inning with the home run from Seth Smith, but you're not able to pull it off there. I have to, if I'm just looking at the box score and what number stands out, 8 walks has to be driving you absolutely crazy.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why I got wrong too. I mean, I had enough, and it was. I mean, it was bad on our end. It was, bad on the other end of it. Things you can't control, but it was, very uncharacteristic, very disappointing, man. That hurts my soul being a pitching guy, and I can't relate to that. I just can't. I mean, because our job is to throw it over that white thing, and it's okay to give up hits, but not making them earn it. And that lineup, that we face, that's the worst thing you can do because that's when the bunts start coming and the stealing and all that. So, very disappointed in that.
Let's look ahead then. Let's talk about this week coming up, and obviously it starts. You're back here in the capital city. I'm not down there. I don't know why I'm saying back here, but in Pearl, Mississippi this week for a game with Ole Miss, a team you've already beaten once at home this year. Chance for a big. I know you don't care about RPI, but Borkey and I have got to talk about it. It's a good resume win if you can get it over a suddenly very hot Ole Miss team.
Oh, no doubt. We're still writing our story. We got a third of the season left, and and we are where we are. 2/3 of the way through it. So, this is a huge opportunity. It's the most important game of the year. It's the next one. But, I mean, there's other things, other factors with that and what it could do for your resume. So it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to take some guys going out there with some fortitude and, especially on that mound of competing like, we know we can. And same thing with our offense, to go up there and get some good arms and compete and have quality at bats.
And then, this weekend coming up, at least you're back home. but this is a really good Texas State team. They got a midweek win last week over Texas A&M. They've been playing some really good baseball. It's difficult as a coach to sit there and think, gosh, we really need to sweep, right? You just want to win the series, but is there ever a part in your mind where you're thinking about long term and you say, we really need to sweep?
Well, I think about sweeping if you win Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really think about sweeping is that Saturday night. But it's just you can't, man. That's hard to do. But yeah, I mean, obviously we know if we want to have any chance of winning a regular season conference crown, Coastal's going to have to do something pretty bad, and we're going to have to do something really good because of just the separation. But we can control our own destiny of finishing in the top two, and which has tremendous implications on seeding for the tournament.
Who are you starting Tuesday night down in Pearl?
We're going to go Bruce Littleton. He's a freshman left-handed pitcher.
And is it going to be a situation sort of what you've done in the past with the midweek? You're going to throw a number of guys out there, or is that what your plan is, or are you going to let Bruce go as long as he can?
I'm going to let him go. I'm going to let him. We kind of need somebody to scream, hey, you can count on me for this. And, he's a strong young man that I think I don't expect 7-8 innings by any means, but I'm going to let him, as long as he's getting some outs, we'll let him keep going. All
right. Coach Ostrander, as always, we appreciate you, appreciate your time, and good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
All right, thanks, guys.
Coach Christian Ostrander, Southern Mississippi Baseball. He joins us, as always, on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team. I continue, as I've said a few times before, just surprised after the way Southern Mississippi started the season. I really thought, I was like, man, they're going to roll through the Sun Belt. And we've talked so many times before about, this is a good baseball conference, top to bottom. They got quality teams, and they're showing it. They're absolutely showing it. Now, Coastal is having a ton of success, and maybe they're just a tier above everybody else, but I am just surprised at how Southern Mississippi has played to this point in the season. And this Texas State series, man, let me tell you, the Bobcats
have to get 3. Have to.
That's going to be difficult because, as I said, this is a team that they're currently 38 in the RPI. And it's a good baseball team. They've won some good games, so they've got to figure out something. That being said, hey, if you do sweep them, that'll be great. This has a chance to be a good week for your postseason resume. Southern Mississippi, as it stands right now in the RPI, is currently, I believe, 14th. Let me double check that. 14th in the RPI, just a notch behind Ole Miss. They're going to play a neutral site game against Ole Miss. That's a quad 1 opportunity there. And then it's 3 quad 2 games, but if you get them, they're going to look good on your resume. So this could be kind of a make or break week for Southern Mississippi when we're talking about their chances to host a regional in Hattiesburg. You and I were discussing this during the break, but there is almost no chance Southern Miss is leaving the state for postseason play because either they're going to host. Ole Miss is very much on the path to hosting right now. Mississippi State was on that path until this past weekend. They can easily get back on there if they just handle their business the rest of the way. But if there's a Hattiesburg regional, fine. But if there's not, the Oxford or Starkville regionals are going to get Southern Mississippi.
Yep.
Feels almost inevitable.
You can guarantee it.
I don't think Southern has ever been to State for a regional. I know State has been to USM for a regional. Obviously, Southern Miss has been to Oxford a couple of times, I believe, and I know they have the super regional there, but I don't believe we've ever had USM in Starkville for a regional, so could be. But again, Mississippi State's got work to do if they want to make that happen at some point.
They do. Coach, a little fired up, you could tell. He's always classy and respectful,
he's still got some fire in him there from whatever happened there on Sunday.
Yeah. Sports Talk Mississippi. So glad that you guys are with us. We'll be right back in the Pearl River Resort studio.
From the Venable Glass, it's happening in Mississippi sports. You'll hear about it first. right here. Sports Talk Mississippi.
All right, Hadad, over under 30 seconds of live Masters watched by Brian Hadad this weekend.
Over.
Over?
But not by a lot.
When did you put it on?
Towards the end yesterday, just to see the end.
So you saw Scotty's putt on 7.
I didn't see that. I saw like the last little bit of Rory.
Oh, my gosh. So I don't know how that putt did not go in.
But don't worry. I didn't miss a minute of AEW Dynasty last night.
Well, what happened in AEW Dynasty?
MJF retained the World Heavyweight title with a...
What's that stand for?
All Elite Wrestling?
No, MJF.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman?
I've not heard that name until right now.
You should hear it. He's better than you, and you know it. Anyway, but he did cheat, as he is wont to do.
How'd he cheat?
He pulled the referee into a move and got the referee knocked out. Then he hit Kenny Omega with the dynamite dozen ring and pile drived him through a table.
Heck yeah.
That was great.
I mean, honestly, the Masters could have been better if there was a pile driving through a table.
Imagine if Scotty Scheffler just come out of nowhere and pile drived Rory on the 18th green.
The guy with
he can't sign his card. He can't sign his card. He's unconscious. He's out.
The guy with the egg salad hat behind the 16th tee. Just RKO him somehow.
Exactly. He would have been the guy to come out of the crowd and RKO. As soon as I saw you complaining about those, I tried to find one to order to see if I could get it express shipped here for today for this show. I don't even like egg salad, but I would have worn it.
Horrible. An odd, bad year for CBS. Missed a lot of shots. I mean, you didn't see Scotty miss a short birdie putt on 2, and then you didn't see his tee shot on 4. It's like, this is the world number 1. He's chasing the leaders. You're not even showing it on the broadcast. Sam Burns had to take an unplayable on 2 after he birdied 1, and like he's going to win this golf tournament. And you don't see it for 25 minutes. They don't tell you what happened to Sam Burns on the second hole. He's in the final group with Rory, and you don't know. Yeah. The final putt, even, you couldn't see the ball. They didn't have a camera angle to show the ball going in the hole. Very odd stuff. But the drama on the course was awesome. I mean, Rory came back a little bit, had a bad double on 4, I think it was, and just kind of didn't have it. Hits a shot of a lifetime on 12, though, to birdie there. And, I mean, Scotty was moving up the leaderboard. Tyrrell Hatton somehow was in the mix. I'm not a big fan of his, but... I mean, Justin Rose took the lead at one point, and he couldn't execute. Cam Young just didn't have it yesterday. There was a lot of drama, a lot of fun yesterday, despite Rory winning. You don't say his second green jacket, by the way. You don't get 2.
Uh-huh.
When Tiger won in 2019, there was the same jacket from 97. You don't get a second jacket or a third jacket or whatever.
They fit the jacket. My guess is you get to take one home, right?
You take your jacket home with you for a year, and then after the year, it stays on the property.
On the property. Not at the course.
On the property.
Not in the clubhouse. On the property.
But Marty's right. I mean, the CBS coverage on 18 was wild. So Rory's basically shanks a driver, hits it way right. They find the ball, but he hits his second shot. And think about how long this is in a broadcast. For 60 seconds, Jim Nance and Trevor Immelman don't know where the ball is. They didn't have eyes on the ball. Of course, they're calling it off of monitors and stuff. It's not their fault, but they didn't know where the ball went.
Yeah.
For 60 seconds, it ended up being the bunker. He gets up and down in 2 for a bogey in the win. But that was... It was a weird day for CBS, but then they make up for it at the end. And I don't know if you can do this in any other sport, but the Masters champion walk off the green is some of the best sports broadcasting there is.
Yeah, it's good.
The cameraman catches, like runs onto the green and catches him on the green as he's crying and whatever. You got the sun setting. You got the steep hill on the 18th behind him. Everything's beautiful aesthetically. And then the walk from 18 to the scorer's room is a long walk, and it's just nothing but people in a thin pathway for the winner to walk. And, of course, his wife and his daughter were there and his parents, and he hugs all them, and he's giving all these people hugs. And that walk takes like 3 minutes to get there. Nance and Immelman don't say a word. There's no music. There's no nothing. It's just camera in front of player walking to the scorer's tent as people are just aligned on this path to get there. It is awesome, and I don't think you can do that. There's no other sport really where you can do that way, but they do it there, and it is the best 3 minutes of sports broadcasting in the year, every year. I'm a yapper. Nance is supposed to be calling this event, and the best thing that he does is says nothing. It's amazing. Sometimes you don't need to add commentary.
Yeah. Like sometimes you say, by saying nothing at all, you say the most.
Pretty much. Yeah, Rose was on
to that end, the next 2 hours, Michael Borkey, we're just going to sit here and not say a word.
And you guys out there listening have to clap.
You guys, yeah, if you could just,
2 hours.
You get a clap track and just.
So that's the Masters. Rory, 2-time winner, beats Scheffler by 1. The PGA next month is going to be fun because that's a good course fit for both of those guys, and maybe a budding rivalry between the two of them. 4 of the last 5 Masters won by those two guys, and 2 of those 4 won. The other one finished second, 1 shot back. So, good stuff there. After the news, winners and losers.
Talk Mississippi on the SuperTalk app, your local SuperTalk station, and at supertalk.fm.
This would have been a great weekend to get that yard looking the way you want it to. We were talking to our friends at Ag Up just a few weeks ago. That's back when Borkey gave them the idea for the spring tractor blowout. He was like, guys, we got all these great tractors. We can put great prices on them. We'll call it the spring tractor blowout. They were like, why didn't we think of this?
I'm so smart.
You are a smart man. Right now, you get a John Deere 3025E with a loader, just $365 a month with 0% financing for 84 months. If you're thinking about upgrading your equipment or just getting your first tractor, that's the kind of deal you've been waiting for. But don't wait too long. These prices won't stick around. Visit any of the 15 Ag Up locations throughout the state of Mississippi or check them out at agup.com. What's Up on Sports Talk Mississippi is brought to you by Ag Up. It's Monday. It's 4 o'clock. You know what's up. It's winners and losers.
All I do is win, no matter what. I'm a loser, baby. We got winners. We got losers.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser.
Winner never win. And a winner never.
What did you like from the weekend? What did you not like? Plenty of that. Let us know on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Michael Borkey will start us off with a winner that will probably be Rory McIlroy.
No, although he is one. It was good for a lot of reasons. But it's got to be Ole Miss, right? You get swept after losing to Memphis. You get swept by Mississippi State in a series that you just can't win. State just owns Ole Miss, and vibes were pretty low. And then you go to Gainesville, and you do win game 1, and then you go 20 consecutive innings without scoring a run. You're down 2-0 in game 3, and you find a way to win that one, and then you come home, and then you sweep LSU, and you have completely flipped the conversation about the postseason outlook for your team in just a couple of weeks. So figuring out that rotation's been huge. Federico's been good. Pano being in the lineup. He had, 5-6 hits this weekend? So a lot of good from sweeping anybody, really. Sweeping LSU, certainly a good thing from just a morale rivalry perspective. And now you go to Tennessee with a lot on the line suddenly after an outlook that felt pretty bleak a couple of weeks ago. So Ole Miss winners for flipping the narrative in just a couple of weeks' time.
You can't go wrong with that for sure. In the SEC, then do we have to go with Arkansas?
Ooh,
kind of dead in the water, right? And then they come back and they go to Tuscaloosa and win a series against the hottest team in college baseball, or at least one of them. kind of thought about it. Kendall Rogers, when he was on with us last week, said, I just don't really like Alabama that much. I don't think they're as good. But Arkansas was a team, they were kind of teetering. They had to come back and get these wins this weekend. It looks like the SEC, I could say Texas A&M here too. I should say Texas A&M. To get the first time that Schlossnagle returns to College Station, to get both games. I know they hated to see that game get canceled last night because they probably were going to end up getting a sweep. But A&M's hot. The SEC right now, everybody's just kind of in it. Look at Florida. Florida's up and down season continues, right? Every other weekend for the Gators. This weekend, what do? They take 2 out of 3 from Georgia and somehow didn't give up a home run against that Georgia lineup. That's getting it done. So I think the SEC is as balanced top to bottom as it's ever been. And this is not a year where, like Missouri is capable of getting a game from you. South Carolina is very capable of getting games from you. There's no weekends off in the SEC this year.
No, not at all.
You got a loser? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go first because
okay.
I just want to. This whole thing that happened in Oxford this weekend with the fight. There's no winners in any of this. All right. Kid got punched in the face. Guy went to jail.
The wrong kid.
The wrong kid. But, if you want to say, well, the guy is the loser, well, you shouldn't be throwing drinks at people either. But you shouldn't be in the student section trying to agitate people. So there's just no winners in any of this. And I just can't help but worry that this is just a small little taste of what's coming September the 19th. The Grove might be a war zone at the rate we're going. No, guys, I'm your friend, all right? I really am. Those are two fan bases I don't really care for, but I'm trying to come to you from a place of friendship. Don't go to jail on September 19th.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You want to go to the game.
Ask this guy that punched the wrong kid if spending the weekend in jail was worth it.
You want to go to the game. You want to see your team. You don't want to spend that night in jail. I'm trying to get ahead of this now. I'm not worried about somebody taking a shot at Kiffin.
No.
I'm worried about LSU fan walking through the Grove and a brawl starts. It's not worth it, guys.
No.
All right? So there's no winners. No winners to be found. All losers in that situation.
No. There's a lot of text about it. There's another video. There's a couple videos of him out there. One, the guy's got his hand on the throat of a different student at a different point.
I had not seen that one, and you showed it to me. That's a rough one there.
I mean, like you said, college kid throwing a drink, dumb. Mm-hmm. He should. You take his game passes away, make him, buy a new jersey for the guy that kind of stuff. Like you shouldn't just get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
A 52-year-old walking around the student section agitating people.
Got no business being there.
What are you doing there, man? You're an adult.
Yeah.
You're possibly a father. You're a father's age.
Probably, yeah. You're 52. You're old enough to be a grandfather.
If I'm 52 doing that, I hope my son changes his name and disowns me. Seriously, you don't want to be a part of me if I'm 52 years old in a college student section, drunk, putting my hands on kids' throats, man. But you're right. I've kind of changed my feeling about the worry about that game. Because most of the time when you're a road fan and you go places, you don't agitate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all that people wearing yellow are going to try to do.
It's going to be a lot of people who try to get things to happen. I'm just telling you. I'm coming to that game. I don't know how much. I don't know how much I want to be there before kickoff. I got to be honest with you. I just don't. I don't know.
Now, luckily, road teams don't travel the way they used to. LSU, the last couple of times I've been to Oxford, haven't brought a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
The tickets are harder to come by. You know what I mean?
I think this will be, and it's kind of weird because it's kind of backwards. But Richard has talked about the trip that Ole Miss fans made to Auburn in 1999, Tuberville's first game there. They took a ton of fans. Kind of a different situation, right? That was Ole Miss going to their coach. This is LSU coming back to where their coach was.
Yeah.
But I do believe there will be as many LSU fans that can get in the stadium, there will be. Yeah.
Which, again, I don't think it'll be that many simply because Ole Miss sold out season 10. I mean, all the tickets are sold. So
it's LSU, the Antifa of the SEC. More with crossing the more.
So maybe there won't be that many, but yeah, I'm with you. Don't be the person that ends up getting into a fight and spending because here's what happens when you do stuff like that. You go to jail. Mm-hmm. If you have a job, you risk losing that. And I can't imagine this gentleman's wife is particularly pleased with her 52-year-old husband spending the weekend in jail and having videos all over the internet of him getting in fights with college kids.
Yeah.
Doesn't
make any sense.
No, and I mean the people that are going to do those things are not listening right now anyway, so we're kind of preaching to the choir here because 99.9% of people aren't. They're just going to go and do their regular football thing. They're going to bring the family. They're going to go to the game. It's going to be more intense, but they're going to do their thing. But there's going to be that small fraction of people that go there looking for a fight. There's going to be people, because you know this happens in college towns, that have no affiliation with the college, nothing. They just show up to try to, and especially that weekend, people are just going to show up to try to start stuff because some people, that's what they do with their free time. Mm-hmm. Extra security, extra police, extra everything is going to be needed for that. And I think, quite frankly, the league office needs to step in, especially when you've got a coach tweeting about the fighting prowess of his fan base.
So
that the messaging from the top has got to start. You can't have that stuff, man. You can't do that stuff.
Kiffin is just...
You can't do it.
So weird. Like, so weird. It's almost to the point where it's like, I know there's a combination of he's doing it on purpose, but he's not at the same time, right? Like it just never enters his brain that I don't need to do this. This is not a smart move for me. It never comes. That thought never appears in his head. He just thinks I can do whatever I want and I'll get away with it.
Mm-hmm. And somebody made him delete it. And I'd be willing to bet that was somebody at LSU before the league office got involved. But I do think there needs to be a messaging change about this because the Flames are getting fanned by the most visible person in all of this. And you can't have that either.
Yeah.
It's not Kiffin's responsibility to make people not be violent.
Right.
But he certainly can.
Doesn't help.
He's not helping.
He could help, but he's not. All right, let's completely change gears. When we come back, conversation with Brian O'Connor. We'll go to the Farm Bureau guest line and talk to the head Diamond Dog.
In the Venable...
We go back to the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team. Coach Brian O'Connor joins us as he does every Monday. And, Coach, I asked you this question at Sunday's press conference, but we got a new audience here, so I'm going to ask it again. After the game 2 Sundays ago against Georgia, you were asked, are you worried about where your team is? And you said, no, you were not. Now you've been swept this second weekend in a row. Are you worried about where your team sits at this point in the season?
No, Brian, I would never say worried. It's just we have to make some adjustments. That's what it's about, right? And it's about what we do and what we can control, right? Certainly, none of us would want to be in the situation that we're in, okay? But we put ourselves in that situation, right? And and that comes from a few different things. Part of it is what we can control, right? And part of it is, what does the other team do, right? And so, you've seen it across this league, Brian. You've seen it for a number of years, and teams go through some down swells. I know a lot's to be made about being swept two weekends in a row in our home ballpark. But that's done with, right? And, now we have to continue to work to get back to playing the baseball that we play.
When you talk about adjustments, are you talking about adjustments that are baseball related? Hey, the way we approach things at the plate and on the mound. Or are you talking more about mental adjustments and the way you are thinking about the game?
I don't think it's not mental. It's more, physical and, approach based stuff, right? Like, you see what happened this weekend, and I thought our pitching staff hung in there and gave us a chance in the middle innings and things like that. But in each ball game, you fall behind right away in the first inning, right? And that's going to happen at times, okay? And you gotta stem the tide, which I think all of our starters did, and kind of kept us in it and to fight back, And so I think it's more physical adjustments. What are we trying to do from an offensive standpoint? What's our plan? What's our approach with two strikes, right? And getting back to that. And this game is always about adjusting. Brian, you've heard me talk about like some hitters that sometimes get away from what makes them successful. Nobody on any team anywhere does it go the same for them throughout the year. It's about who adjusts quickly, right? And right now we're not adjusting quickly enough. Right. And you've heard me talk about individual players like, adjustments that Reed Stallman has made or somebody has made. Right. And then they come out the right side of it and be more productive. So that's what this is about. And we just got to keep at it and stay on it. And then it comes down to, do you make a play or not? Right. No greater example, I shared it yesterday, than the backhand play the Tennessee shortstop makes on Aiden Teal ball that he smokes, right? And great players make the big plays, and that comes from pitching, that comes from offense, and that comes from defense.
When you've got guys in a slump, is it more about what the player themselves do to get out of the slump, or as a coach, what can you do? I mean, you've coached a long time. You've seen guys go through it. What are you telling your guys when you see them struggling at the plate?
Well, there's a couple of things that could be going on with an individual player, right? It might be there needs to be a setup or a swing adjustment, right? Some of it is, okay, what are these teams showing you on how they're getting you out? And then it's approach based, and they need to make an adjustment to that, and that adjustment needs to be made quickly, right? And then some of it is just, I'm a positive coach. I, tell the guys that you believe in them, right? Some of it is, okay, they need to pick themselves up a little bit and be a little bit more upbeat. So it's different in different cases. It's never what does the whole group needs to be? Typically, it's watching an individual and helping them make the adjustments that they need to make. There's a coaching piece of that, and then there's a player ownership piece of that has to be there.
This weekend, the stat that stood out to me, and I'm sure it's probably driving you crazy as well: 32 strikeouts to 2 walks. At the plate. That feels almost impossible, especially when you consider the way your team was attacking the plate earlier in the season. Is it possible that a team in the same game can be too aggressive and yet at the same time they're being impatient?
Oh, sure. That can be the case. Typically it's not the case for the entire lineup, right? And it rarely is it the entire lineup. Most of the time it's an individual. So again, part of that is what's the other team doing? They're executing pitches and things like that, right? And so, I know that stat. And so sometimes the walks or the hit by pitches, so-called free 90s, Brian, come as a result of grinding out at bats when you get to 2 strikes, fouling balls off, right? Taking the balls, not swinging at pitches off the plate. And that's an approach. It's a mentality that we have shown a lot to have, right? And we've had some guys get away from that, right? And you also got to credit good stuff on the mound, right? But we control what our approach is to it.
Yeah. I thought your pitching this weekend, as you kind of mentioned, was very good. I thought all three of your starters pitched well. Duke had the struggles in the first couple of innings, but he came back and put up, I think, 3 zeros in a row. I thought Foster gave you a really good start on Sunday. I don't know if rivalry is the right word between pitchers and the hitters, but how do you talk to your pitchers when you're telling them, like, guys, we know it's not you. We got to figure out the other side of this. What are you telling your pitchers when they pitch well, but they come off the mound and they don't have the lead?
Yeah, well, I mean, control what you can control. There's never this divide, pitchers and hitters, because that's not right, because you also have to reflect back to some games that a team really had great offensive days and, you gave up 8 or 10 runs. Okay. So like a team doesn't do that, but you talk about control what you can control. Right. And it's a game of fringes. Yesterday, Charlie Foster gets the leadoff guy 0-2 and then hits him. Right. And then all of a sudden the 2-hole hitter hits a double. Now you're second and third. Right. Control what you can control. Right. And everybody on the team has a part in that. And that we never talk about, it's the pitcher's fault or the position player's fault. Like sometimes, Brian, it requires you to go out and pitch a game for 9 innings where you only give up 1 or 2 runs. Right. Yes, sometimes that's what it requires, right? And so we don't play the blame game, and you just you're in it together. You either win or lose the game together.
Can playing on the road help a team that's down a little bit, force them to lock in a little bit more?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about lock in more, Brian. I understand the term, but what I guess you go on the road, you have team breakfasts together. You're together the entire time. Sometimes that can certainly help, right? I mean, we went on the road and swept Ole Miss, right? And so sometimes that can help a team. Certainly, there's nothing better than playing at home, but we can't do anything about right now that we didn't take advantage of that opportunity.
So last week, when after the midweek game, you gave an update on Ryan McPherson. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity. You said multiple weeks. Did you mean multiple weeks from the first of the injury or multiple weeks from Tuesday? Can you give us any kind of update on his status?
Yeah, there's not a timeline on it. I mean, he has started a throwing program. He threw yesterday and felt good, but there's a progression to that, right? Mm-hmm. And so again, he's not going to be pitching for us, at all in the next, 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? This typically, from the date of when an injury happens, and this kind of injury, sometimes it's 6 weeks, sometimes it's 8 weeks. It depends on how a player progresses through the throwing program. But, he won't be on that mound pitching for us anytime soon. So
best case scenario sounds like postseason play could be a possibility.
Maybe better than that. It's just unknown. It's hard to, I don't want to put out a forecast of that because it all depends on how the next week or two go in that throwing program.
All right. Billingsley in the midweek again?
We have practice today. We're going to, check on a few guys and determine there's probably a pretty good chance of that, but haven't made that final decision yet.
All right. 4 games on the road this week for the Diamond Dogs. We'll talk to Coach Brian O'Connor.
From the
We went down for a second. We back, Hadad? You hear me?
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, are we good?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, good.
Were you talking to me this whole time? I was looking at something else and zoned out there.
Okay, no, we're good. Okay.
All right,
we're back. We're back. Glad to see you guys.
I didn't even look at the text line. I'm like,
no, we're back. We're good.
Yeah, we're back.
I don't know what that was. The computer froze in here.
Well, they had that thing. Remember that thing happened like a year ago?
Yeah.
Is it the same thing?
But, I mean, it's functioning now, but it completely froze. If Houston's here, I'll get him to come in here and explain what happened.
No, because I won't understand it. If he'll start talking, I'll be like, what?
We got a few texts during that interview about the right thing.
Right.
And Pete Golding does it too.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you.
I just want to, that's a great thing for us. Because if you're an Ole Miss fan, you can't make fun of O'Connor. And if you're a State fan, you can't make fun of Golding. So Southern Miss fans, have at them.
Apparently so. Everybody that talks has a crutch. Everybody. You have a crutch, and you just don't realize it because you don't record yourself talking. If you I say right.
Oh, but you're wrong. I do record myself talking, and I know that mine is so.
But you as the audience.
I know what you meant.
I say a lot. I say right a lot.
So is mine.
And I will repeat the first letter of words. I'll go like that kind of stuff.
You repeat the last thing someone says to you.
I will do that too.
You will do that too. That's what you do. I'll be saying something. I'll have a long sentence and be like, yeah, and Mississippi State's going to have to be better at that if they want to be successful this year. They're going to have to be better at that if they want to be successful. You do that a lot. You do that, or you just go, no doubt about it. Something like that. You throw absolutely. A no doubt about it or absolutely in there.
It's just kind of, I don't know. It's a crutch, man.
Well, I think it's mainly you're just not paying attention to a dang word I say.
If I was not paying attention, I would not acknowledge what you have said, though. I'd just be waiting for you to be done talking and then just move on without acknowledging anything that you said.
You will acknowledge me, Borkey.
It's my way of
I'm the tribal chief around here. It is WrestleMania week. So.
It's my way
I got to reach out. I won't be here. Never mind. No point. No point. Would have gotten us a Friday interview like I did last year, but
if you feel like it, record one. I'll play it. If you want to do a WrestleMania breakdown, I will happily play it on the show on Friday.
I will attempt to do that.
But if you don't, since you're going on vacation, whatever.
It's just going to be tough to do. So
go have fun.
Yeah.
Winners and losers, a lot of them. So we'll get to as many as we
somebody
can.
is saying that. He got you on the no doubt about it, Borkey.
It's just going to happen. It is. There's nothing I try to fix my crutches. I try.
Yeah.
And they're just there.
Well, they're crutches.
They're just there.
They're not fixable. They are the things that you do unconsciously.
Well, your leg would heal eventually, I guess, but my leg's not healing. I'm still using the crutches.
Like that. So,
winner, 5-hole hitter Hayden Federico. He's seeing the baseball better. He most certainly is.
Well, you mentioned him earlier, though. Pano's got to be the player if you want to pick one from Ole Miss this weekend, right?
Pano, right. Pano had a hit and an RBI on Sunday. He had 2 hits and 3 RBI on Saturday, and he had a hit on Friday. So 3 + 1 + 1 is 5. 5 hits on the weekend for a guy that not too long ago was unplayable.
Yeah.
And now he's giving you 5 hits in the 9-hole in a weekend sweep. Good stuff from him. Chris says, winner, Richard Cross for a sign-off at the end of the series on Sunday. It's just different in Oxford. Hey, Dad, what do you think?
I mean, it's funny. You know what? I appreciate when announcers look. I know it's SEC Network Plus, but these are Richard and Keith are the Ole Miss announcers, right?
They are.
So they got a chance to have a little fun. Have it. I don't care. I think it's great. Good job, Richard. I'm kind of surprised you don't have the audio queued up for us.
It's a little cheesy, a little bit.
Nothing wrong with cheese. Nothing wrong with being able to. Let me tell you something.
Cheesy's fine.
Not enough people have fun with sports, and especially
just in general anymore.
Especially this weekend with everything that happened out there, and you got people getting arrested. It is supposed to be fun, and
it is.
You can't because there's so much money and self-worth tied into everything that nobody wants to have fun anymore. And so my hat's off to Richard. If that's, I didn't hear the call, obviously, but that's funny. So good job, buddy.
Loser, Sergio Garcia. Absolutely. My gosh, man. On 2, Hadad on Sunday. So he's out of the tournament. He has no shot at winning. He's an early tee time on Sunday. Hits a bad shot on 2. Slams his driver into the ground multiple times, creating a huge hole.
No, can't do that.
And then breaks his driver over a cooler next to the tee box. And he's a guy that has a history of, Hadad, he spit in the hole once during a tournament.
Oh.
So the next guy that putted his ball in the hole, the ball would. So he's got kind of a history of that, but he has completely lost his game since going to Live. I mean, he was kind of trending down anyway, but the only thing we know about Sergio anymore is the fact that he broke his driver. I mean, total irrelevancy, and it was just an ugly scene. The chair of the Augusta Competitions Committee met him on the 4th hole and walked with him the entire 4th hole to give him a very stern talking to. Basically, if you do that again, I will remove you from this golf course. So don't, is how that goes. But anyway.
Yeah.
Winner, Atlanta Braves early, but the only MLB team to not lose a series. Loser, Bryson DeChambeau misses the cut after a lot of hype in last year's Masters, and he famously once called Augusta a par 67 for him. So, tough.
Borkey, I've just done the first ever preemptive don't read this. I've put it on the text line. Somebody sent in a text, and I just went ahead and replied, don't read this,
Wait,
Borkey.
Hold on. You're talking about the famous doctor?
Doctor, soldier, fireman.
Oh, see, told you something.
What's going on?
I don't know. But, hey, it fired. Yeah. It fired.
That's good.
So we're good.
That's good. I haven't looked at the clock yet. Yeah, just don't read that text.
So, again, what was the cup that he ended up on?
American Heroes or something, right? First Responder Heroes or something?
Ole Miss First Responder Heroes?
Yeah, if anybody has one of those cups, I'll give you $50 for it. That's the only Ole Miss thing I'll allow in my house, but I would allow that.
We will continue to read winners and losers when we come back. Sports Talk Mississippi. Don't forget, by the way, to start the 5 o'clock hour, Hadad got to see football this weekend, so he's going to tell you what he saw, and then Mike Bianca will join us at 5:20. So glad you guys are with us. We'll be back in the Pearl River Resort studio.
Sports Talk Mississippi with Richard Cross, Brian Hadad, and Michael Borkey is back.
I'm all ears.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Borkey and Hadad with you, Sports Talk Mississippi. Somebody said LSU burners, not just burners, were complaining about Richard and Keith being too biased. Guys apparently haven't heard Florida's ESPN Plus broadcast. Here,
guys, shut up. If you don't want to hear a little hometown bias on these SEC Network broadcasts, just get your radio going with whoever your guys are. It's the only way. All right. We've been doing this now. How long has SEC Network been a thing? Plus, SEC Network Plus been a thing doing these baseball games at home? How long? We hear these same stupid complaints from these same stupid people over and over again.
And being mad at those two is the dumbest part about it. Like, Ole Miss fans get mad at him, too, for not being biased enough, especially Jake, because Richard doesn't do every game. But Ole Miss fans get mad that, why aren't our announcers homers? And then you get these people, they're too homers.
Yeah, because Bart and Charlie, I will say, and I've listened to them many times, are two of the maybe that's just me because I'm a state guy, but it feels like they are very, almost as down the middle as you can.
They are intentional in the way they call the game.
And so when you listen to the LSU guys, the Florida guys, it is different.
And
but
Jake and Richard and Keith are intentional about being fair. If you listen to Richard's calls or Jake's or Keith's of when good things happen to Ole Miss's opponent, their voices sound the same. Their inflections are the same. Listen to Richard's calls this weekend when LSU's starting to come back in that game. His voice is the same as when Ole Miss does something good because he's a pro. It's just whining about announcers is like you said, just turn them off then. Technology is a beautiful thing. You can pull up your radio broadcast and mute the TV. There you go.
Yeah.
Your guy up there calling the team we is right there for you on your fingertips on your smartphone. Hopefully provided by C Spire.
Hopefully. Should be. You can get a free one right now. $90. Point that out again. Hey, we got one more winner, or at least I got one more winner. We got to talk about this. We haven't mentioned it yet, but we got to give a winner to new friend of SuperTalk, Carlo Barone Sanitation, the new co-host of Thunder and Lightning. First official show is in the tank. It'll be on later this evening. Also want to welcome Brooks Bryan, former Diamond Dog, to the podcast. He'll be joining me a couple times a week, once a week, 2 times a week, something like that, just to give a little more Bulldog oomph to the podcast and to give some player perspective.
It was definitely lacking some Bulldog oomph for sure.
Thunder if anything, if I've been accused of anything, it's that I don't bring enough Bulldog oomph to the podcast. So very excited to have Carlo and Brooks on with me. A new era of Thunder and Lightning. I congratulated Carlo today. I told him, hey, in a few years, you're going to work for Mississippi State. Everybody else does. Bob went to work for Mississippi State. Joel went to work for Mississippi State. Robbie, not technically Mississippi State, but close enough. So Carlo, he's like the next, SID or something. I don't know what's going on. Congrats to him, though.
Athletic director, who knows?
I don't know if he's go that far, but, we'll see.
We will see.
Somebody says Bart and Charlie hit the cough button when they want to be homers. No, they just text me. I'll just get a text every now and then. Be like, this can't be happening.
No, they do a great job. See,
it's pronounced as in Barone Sanitation from The Sopranos. It is pronounced the same way. But he's not a big Sopranos fan. I got to get him to watch that show. But don't worry, I will get him to do it.
Somebody bringing up Hao Tong Lee. Hao Tong Lee cost Scotty Scheffler the Masters. I will die on that hill. His 10 on 13. Hey, Dad, he hit it up into the trees left on 13, so there's a creek. A tributary of Ray's Creek is what you have to call it. I swear.
Okay, hold on.
I swear.
A tributary is a river. All right? Creeks don't have tributaries.
That's what it's called.
Oh,
and
what you want.
He hits it left of that, which is not out of bounds. So he goes up there and poor Hao Tong Lee. Seems like a really nice guy. Players love playing with him. He's full of energy and all that. But hits it way up in the trees. And it's not out of bounds, though. So you can't just take a drop. You got to go find your ball. And he finds his ball and tries to hit it and then hits it still in the trees. So he has to find it again and call a rules official over. Scotty Scheffler stood in the fairway for 7 minutes without hitting a shot. And then when they get to the green, Hao Tong putts it off the green into said tributary to Ray's Creek, taking even complete.
Now,
I swear and then on 16, I think he hit it. No, on 12, he hit it in the water twice, I think.
Now, is this guy any relation to Chong Li from the Kumite?
I don't know. Is he from China? Because Hao Tong is
I believe
Chinese.
So. I believe he was.
Maybe. Who knows how far this conspiracy goes?
Should have done a dim mock on the golf ball. That would have been the end of it.
But Scotty was cruising until Hao Tong did whatever that was and screwed him up. Iced him. But the picture of him up in the trees looking for his ball is really funny.
Yeah.
Sports Talk Mississippi, College Football Fix, recapping State's football scrimmage when we come back.
Sports Talk Mississippi is back.
This is it.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Unstable condition, a symptom of light. In mental and environmental change.
Welcome back. 5 o'clock hour, Sports Talk Mississippi. Michael Borkey, Brian Hadad with you. We had football over the weekend. Coffee, kegs, and eggs apparently in one of the sections out there. Everybody's favorite new venture, 1878, had a cool little thing for people to enjoy the football. It was college football in a college football stadium that Hadad got to watch. So we're going to hear about it for the College Football Fix.
That's a good name. That's a good name. The College Football Fix is driven by your Mississippi Ford dealers. Built Ford tough. Just like our football teams here in the state of Mississippi. If you're looking for a new truck right now, guys, there's only one place to go. Check out your Mississippi Ford dealer now and check out the Ford F-150. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
All right, scrimmage 9:30.
Good man, by the
morning.
way. Mississippi State appreciates your messaging here. Scrimmage. Not a spring game. Not a game.
Not a game.
Practice.
We're talking about practice.
This was
man.
a practice that I got to watch. They did not keep score. They did not hand out stats afterwards.
In your notebook, though, what was the score?
Well, that's the problem. There is no score because it was not teams.
Wait, you didn't keep practice stats? Because I've been seeing some coverage of practices from around the SEC, and people are taking practice stats.
What I'm just saying is,
got to stop doing
there
that.
was no teams. It was just offense and defense. Like the
Right.
defense is on one sideline, the offense is on the other. There was no like maroon team, white team.
You're not picking up my sarcasm, though.
I am picking up your sarcasm. I'm also trying to let our listeners understand that it was literally a scrimmage.
Yeah.
So, what did I see?
All right, so what was Kamario Taylor's completion percentage? How many interceptions did he throw? And let's break that down.
It was high. He only threw one. He made the mistake of throwing at the best cornerback in college football. And that guy made a one play to get a pick.
So let's finish this hour talking about decision-making because of the one interception in practice.
Well,
Let's
if
do
you
that.
listen to Kamario, he would tell you he had a bad day. He did not have a bad day. I was very impressed with the maturity of him afterwards and the things he had to say about the scrimmage, where he said, didn't play well. I from my vantage point, he played fine. The thing that I went in looking for was, how did the offensive line play? Now, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that Arnett threw the whole book at them, right? He did bring some pressures. They got some sacks, but most of the time rushing 3, rushing 4. But last year, rushing 3, rushing 4, State could not protect Blake Shapen. They could not do it. And on Saturday, more often than not, I thought the protection was okay. Now, it's very possible, Borky, that I walked into this stadium with such a low expectation of what, that I thought that offensive line was going to be, that the fact that they were somewhat serviceable has me going, hey, maybe they're going to be okay. That's a possibility.
So let's pause there then. Was it just serviceable, or was there real
There
marked
were
improvement?
several plays where Taylor had time to stand in the pocket, survey the field, go through his progressions, and end up at his check down and not be pressured.
Was it against the ones?
Yes. Yeah, they
good.
basically State did ones versus ones all day. They did twos versus twos. And so that's why I'm telling you, it was not a game. It was an actual practice. So State last year gave up sacks on 3-man fronts all the time. So to see any kind of improvement there, I was a fan of. Taylor is Taylor. Very impressed with him. The wide receiver group, I just trust Lebby's evaluations there. I thought that Marquise Johnson had a couple of nice plays. Zion Ragens is a name we haven't talked a lot about, but the transfer from Oklahoma. Ragens.
Great basketball player, too. Tough year for his team, though.
It's a different Zion. Zion Ragens, Marquise Johnson, and then Grayson Harris, a player who redshirted last year. Those are the 3 guys that are going to get the look to replace Brennan Thompson as that built like a slot receiver, but they're on the outside because they're super fast guy. And then the other guy, I think that's going to be San Francisco McGee. He had a couple of catches. He looks the part. Aiden Williams, I think, is just going to get lost in the shuffle there. If you said who's going to be that receiver that's physically bigger than the other two, it's going to be McGee is where I'm leaning. I thought the offensive player I was the most impressed with overall, and granted he's playing against second and third teamers, but was the true freshman J.J. Hill, the running back out of Tupelo. Would have had a 75-yard touchdown run had they not just blown it dead because he was in the clear and nobody was going to catch him. He'll play. He'll play for Mississippi State as a freshman. I think he has a great chance. The thing that hurts him a little bit is he and Fluff are kind of the same back, the bigger back, physical, and Colin Wilson is more of the lightning to the other guy's thunder if we're going to go that route. A little more speed, a little more explosiveness. But I was really super impressed with J.J. Hill. I think he's going to be a real player for Mississippi State. Defensively, one of the new faces, Dalen Evans, he looks the part of the guy who can be that space eater in the middle, the guy who can take up a couple blockers. I thought he played pretty well. The linebackers were good. Kind of a surprise to see. I saw Tyler Lockhart starting, not a surprise, but not Jalen Smith and not Zachary Tillman at that other linebacker. It was Fat Forrest, and I was not surprised. I was not expecting him to get the first snaps. Now, they played a lot of guys, don't get me wrong, but wasn't expecting that. Also didn't expect Jet Jefferson to be the second corner. Thought it would be one of the transfers. I know that Lebby had told us that Quentin Taylor has been injured some for this spring, so maybe he's just a little bit behind. But, Jefferson was a guy we talked about last year, and going into the Southern Mississippi game, everybody thought he was going to be the second corner. And then game day, he was out there with a scooter on his leg, and he just never bounced back the way you would want. So defensively, State looked fine. When they there were times when they brought pressure, they were able to get it. There are other times that they didn't. But again, I don't think Arnett was too deep in the bag for all his pass rush packages. Yeah. The other thing that stood out to me was Kyle Ferry, the kicker, hit from 52 to end the scrimmage, hit another one from 45. He looks the part. I think we're going to have two of the best kickers in the SEC in this state this year.
That's awesome.
We both
wins games too.
But yeah, State and Ole Miss should feel really good 45 in, I think, from both of their kickers. So here's what I'll say is that as much as I possibly can, leaving a scrimmage, I came away more optimistic about Mississippi State's chances to be better this year than I was when I walked into the stadium. Now,
you've watched scrimmages where you came away thinking,
I've walked away thinking that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And fully expected. I was thinking to myself as I walked in, I was like, I can't wait to tweet like 5 plays in, like Kamario Taylor has not had time to set his feet yet. I was expecting that, right? I thought they played okay. Now, does that mean they're going to be in the college football playoff this year? I'm not going to go that far. But can this be a team? This is the thing I've told myself a couple of times, is that if I had had Kamario Taylor the whole season last year as a true freshman, right? Because I think even as a true freshman, he was better than Chapin. And I could have had Zach Arnett calling the defense for Mississippi State. Does State find a way to win 7 games last year? I think the answer to that is yes.
Yes.
So that's where you are this year, and you've added some more pieces and some more depth around it. You should be able to win 7 games, and you see what happens. Now, look, as we're sitting here today on April 13th, if you looked at the schedule, the odds makers would tell you that State is likely to be an underdog in 8, 9 games, something like that. Maybe all of the conference games. Maybe against Minnesota as well. Their over-under for wins will probably be maybe 4.5 this year. It was 3.5 last year. It cashed. We'll see. It's a lot of we'll see. The good news for State fans, to me, is that against ULM, first game of the season, if they're getting to the quarterback, that's a red flag. If you can't run the football on that team, that's a red flag.
Other side of the ball. Easy. That's got to be 4 quarters of easy.
Yeah, and you need to make it, it needs to look even easier than it did. Against Southern Mississippi, the Golden Eagles were very much in the game at the half. Mm-hmm. State pulled away in the third quarter. Don't need to see that. You're playing at home against a lower-level Sun Belt team. You should be able to win that game easily, no questions asked. But if they don't, then that's a great sign. Well, it's not a great sign. It's a great indicator, though, of what's about to come.
Yeah.
But if they go out there and dominate them, then you can look ahead to the next week and say, hey, this is what might happen.
Hindsight's always 20/20. We did say at the time, though, especially around the Florida game, go ahead and go to Camario. I wonder if Jeff Lebby wakes up at night kicking himself for not making that change earlier.
He's got to. If you gave him truth serum, I don't see how he couldn't. I probably would have made the change, honestly, in the Florida game. But Arkansas, I know Shapen led the comeback to bring him back into it, but I think Taylor could have done everything that Shapen did in that game, and maybe a little bit more. So
it's your college football fix, driven by Ford and your local Mississippi Ford dealer. Mike Bianco, after a sweep of LSU, will join us when we come back.
We're hearing Sports Talk Mississippi. Super Talk. Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. We go back to the Farm Bureau guest line. Christian Ostrander joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. Brian O'Connor in the 4 o'clock hour. And now head baseball coach at Ole Miss, Mike Bianco. Fresh off of back-to-back series wins over ranked teams, this time a sweep over LSU. And, Coach, after hearing from you over the years, you always say never get too high or get too low after a good or a bad weekend. But regardless of that mantra, a sweep over any conference opponent's got to feel really good for your ball club.
Oh yeah, I never said it didn't feel good. Just, mindset. You better make sure that you show up the next day and try to be consistent. And that's I think the challenge in our league. There's such a fine line. Winning and losing and being on the good side or being on the wrong side. Sometimes just comes down to a pitch or two. For the entire 27 innings on the weekend And so, yeah, I think you got to try to, stay as neutral as you can. But obviously, the kids are excited. We've played pretty good baseball the last couple weeks, and I'm proud of them. And it wasn't an easy weekend. One where we had a 1-run lead late on Friday. They tied up, and then we're able to scratch a few more runs, to win on Friday, and then getting no hit, through whatever it was, 3, maybe 4 innings on Saturday, but then exploded and put several good innings together. And then of course everybody saw yesterday where we had a 7-run lead, and it dissolved very quickly, as it can sometimes in this league. And but credit our guys for hanging in there.
Mike, I think it's Mike Tyson, right, that said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. What is it about Hunter Elliott where he takes a punch in the first inning and then becomes exceptional after that? How do you get a player to have that kind of mentality as a pitcher where gives up a 2-run home run in the first and then just cruises after that?
No, I don't think you teach that. Yeah, he was born with that chromosome, and I think that's just the competitive edge that those winners have. And I think so many guys. There's a lot of good, players and a lot of good pitchers, and then, that next level sometimes isn't just stuff, isn't, anything mechanical. Sometimes it's just a mental, awareness and a competitive spirit that allows you to be at your best more times than not when it means the most. And, that's what the great ones do. And, that's why he's been so successful in his career.
And you got 2 more really good starts against an LSU lineup that, just mashed their way to a series win against Tennessee the week prior. Townsend leads your team to a run rule, and then you turn around and get a great start from Rabe as well. Your rotation seems pretty solid, obviously. What can you say about those 2 guys, though, and their performance on Saturday and Sunday?
I think very similar to the comments we just made, about Hunter. I think Cade, showed that. He gave up a run in the first, gave up a run in the second, and then really was lights out and probably would have ran out in the 7th if we didn't have, basically 2 or 3 big innings in a row where he really sat. But his stuff was as good in the 6th as it was earlier in the game, and he probably could have got another inning. And then Rabe was just so good on Sunday, and it's one of those things I said in the post game. I hope that his performance performance doesn't, get kind of forgotten, and because of the way the game ended in the last couple innings. Because he threw it as well as I've ever seen on this field through 6 innings, and not just because of no hit, but just the elite stuff, the command, the efficiency, just pounding the strike zone. He was really, really good.
You bring in Walker Hooks to close a couple of games, 4 complete, 5 strikeouts, just 1 hit in those 2 appearances. He's been lights out for you as well. What can you say about his emergence in that role?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And it's something that's been coming, obviously, not just this weekend or even in Florida. I think, if you watch us closely enough, he's kind of been the guy that we've leaned on. Credit Joel, Mangrum, our pitching coach, he talked about it weeks ago, even before he, had an opportunity to finish some games, and just analytically and some of the stuff that, was popping up. And this was even before conference, just so many strikes, so much swing and miss from his stuff. He's left-handed, got a great pickoff move. He kind of shuts down the running game. He does a lot of the things that you want with a back-end guy. Now, he's not the guy that's going to throw 100 like some of the guys in our league, but, man, he's been so good for us at the end. And another guy that not only can he pitch multiple times on the weekend, but he can throw multiple innings. And that's a luxury to have a guy at the end of the game, because he did that on Friday through 2+. We weren't sure if he was going to be available on Sunday, but he was, and he was as good that 1 inning as he was any time of the year.
You mentioned the pickoff moves. He and Elliott, are those the 2 best pickoff moves that you have coached in your entire lengthy career?
And again, credit Joel, for a lot of that. Now, Hunter will argue, and he's right. He had a pickoff move before, Mangrum showed up here, but Joel's got a knack with teaching the left-handed pickoff move. And if I'm not mistaken, all the left-handers that we have on staff have picked off at least 3 guys. So, it's got to lead the country, and they're all good. But you're right; those 2, I think, even when people know they're thrown over there, it's still, I think, a scary thing for the base runners.
I can't believe I have allowed myself to get this far into it without bringing up Owen Pano. Did some nice things in Gainesville. You reward him with a start every game this weekend, and he rewards you with 5 hits.
Yeah, he, just happy for him. I don't know if anybody, deserves, the success as much as he has, because he's been through a lot in the last year and a half, and he struggled, and he'd be the first to admit it. But man, he's been a great teammate. He's hung with it, and he's played so well. And for us in inter-squad games and practices and a lot of different things, just hasn't always translated to the game, unfortunately. But I think, and I've said this in the post game, I'm happy that everybody else can see what we see in this office and see in our dugout how good of a baseball player Owen Pano really is.
And it's easy to forget too how young he is still.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get it. In today's, I guess, microscope, type of society, and there's so much information out there and high-profile guys coming into the program, and I get it, and that's great, and that's what puts 11,000 in the stands and allows you to have a podcast and everything else, right? It's great, but there's a lot more pressure on kids when they enter, the program, especially programs like ours that got a lot of eyes on them, and so, sometimes it's a lot more difficult than people, certainly a lot more difficult than it was 15, 20 years ago. And so, but you got to, it is what it is. And so you got to be able to get through it. And, again, just excited for him that, he's contributing like he knows he can and like we knew he can.
A poorly kept secret. Those of us with radio shows and podcasts don't know anything, Coach. We're just out here yet.
Is that right? Wow. Don't tell your listeners that.
Federico, great weekend as well. I know this is kind of a loaded question. Has your offense, quote unquote, figured it out?
Oh, wow. I think that's the thing that I think we hope that we continue to get better. But I think you saw some things this weekend, and, we put some innings together and we scored some runs, some by the homer, which, you hope that's always going to be the case because, there's, it's tough to make up, the difference sometimes unless you do hit a homer. But I think some of those runs and some of those innings, were, not necessarily I think everybody thinks when you say manufactured, it means you bunted, and so, yeah, we put some bunts down, but we walked, we got some big hits, we got some sacrifice flies, we got some singles through the holes, and so we did it, some more the conventional way, and that's good, and that we needed that. I think we've talked about it on your show where, some of those guys that don't hit homers and some of those guys in the bottom half of the lineup have to contribute more, and what we say, be more ball players, and that's moving runners up, get bunts down, hit sac flies, don't strike out with a guy at third, all the things that you need to do to move the offense, and we certainly have been better at that, in the last 4 or 5 games.
Southern Miss here in the Jackson area tomorrow, team that beat you guys earlier in the season, good ball club. Do you have a pitching plan for tomorrow yet?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of guys that you've seen the last several Tuesdays because it's just because of where we are in the season. But J.P. Robertson will get his first start in that, usually a bullpen piece for us. But you'll see a lot of arms tomorrow.
Coach, really appreciate your time. Congrats on a successful weekend. Safe travels here in this area tomorrow, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, guys.
That's Ole Miss head baseball coach Mike Bianco on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Somebody says Hunter Elliott pickoff move is most definitely a balk at least 50% of the time. He just gets away with it and therefore fools the base runners. Here, counterpoint to that, though. If it never gets called, is it a balk? I watch it. I'm not a rules guy. Not an expert. Sometimes I see it and I don't know how it's not, but if they never call it, then it's not one. And opponents should know it's coming by now, and yet they get fooled constantly. And I mean, you should guard against it if you were them, and they get got all the time. So if it works, it works. Sports Talk Mississippi. We'll be back in just a bit.
From the Sports Talk Mississippi.
Boom! Are you ready for some football?
On Super Talk Mississippi.
What's Bianco's crutch? You got one?
I don't know. I mean, he has an but everybody has an
Yeah.
I don't even know if that counts.
Doesn't count because that's just you thinking. That's like the engine.
I know what it is.
What is it?
No doubt.
No doubt. Okay.
He goes, no doubt. No doubt.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we got you.
That was a good one, though. I think he poked fun at us a little bit.
Well,
not us. He poked fun at media in general.
He did. We deserved it.
And I poked fun at us back.
Yeah.
Little chuckle out of self-deprecation.
He heard all of your questions this week?
He did.
All right, good.
He did.
Good.
But yeah, Ole Miss sweeps. And now they got a real test in Leslie Nelson Stadium up there in Knoxville.
Just wanted to say good luck. We're all thinking about you.
His comedic type. I mean, nobody.
It's elite. It's some of the most elite comedic timing. Jokes are funny, but it's all about timing. Like the same person can tell you the same joke, but if they don't time it correctly, it's not as funny.
A hospital? What is it? It's a big building with patients.
Yeah. Everywhere I look, something reminds me of her. That's my favorite joke in the Naked Gun. When they drive past the two silos.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I crack up every time.
Man, they just don't make him like him anymore.
No.
What show was he on where he kept passing gas during the interview?
It was just one of those interview shows.
The guy was trying to be serious.
He had I'll say the word, a fart machine hooked up.
Yeah.
And just, like Borkey would just be asking me questions. I'd be like, yeah, I think State really, is But he never broke.
Not one time. And the guy's getting so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sports Talk
Someone says
Mississippi.
it's Lindsey Nelson Stadium. That's the joke.
Yes.
That's the joke.
That is
Somebody
the joke.
on Twitter referred to it as Leslie Nielsen Stadium, and we are just going with that. Right? We know whose stadium it actually is.
Yeah, but since the actor is a comedy actor and the stadium is a joke, it fits.
Oh, no.
It's a man. It is a.
It's a very. It's got some Cracker Jack to it for sure.
Kentucky's used to be the worst, and then they built a new ballpark.
Kentucky used to be like a softball stadium.
It was it was awful.
Yeah. Now it's at least reputable, but yeah.
And
But again, I don't have a problem with that. In that Tennessee has recruited a bunch of power hitters, so yeah, make it work.
601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. So glad you guys are with us. We started the show talking about State's struggles. Do you think that it's going to last?
I really believe that they could just win a game. Everything would shift back into place a little bit for them. And I'm not talking about tomorrow at Samford. I'm talking about go on the road this weekend, win the Friday night game. I feel like everything kind of clicks back into place. I think it would have happened this past weekend. I think if State had won on Friday, they found a way to finish the comeback there, they would have probably won the series. And maybe the same thing is true of a week ago. They were down 10-2. They come back. They make it 10-9. If they could have found a way to make it 11-10, I think they might have won the series. I really do think that sometimes when you're in a little bit of a funk like this, we talk about it in basketball. I just see the ball go in the hoop. If that could happen for State, if they could just get some run. I honestly think playing on the road, and I asked O'Connor about that. I asked Brooks Bryan about it on tomorrow's Thunder and Lightning podcast, and sometimes maybe just batting first, getting a run on the board. State didn't have the lead in any game this weekend. Not one time was Mississippi State ahead of Tennessee. So maybe getting out to South Carolina, jumping on them real quick, go to the bottom of the first. It's 2-0 Mississippi State. Put the pressure on the other team for a change. Maybe that helps them. I don't know. It's definitely something mentally going on with this team. Because when they left Oxford, I thought, okay, they're well on their way to not only being a factor in the SEC, but they're going to be right there the whole way through. And now that for 2 weeks in a row, I'm wondering, are they going to end up traveling for a regional? And that would be. People have asked me a lot, what are the expectations for this team? What would be a disappointing season? Traveling for a regional would be a disappointing season for Mississippi State. You don't bring in the number one transfer portal class in the country. You don't bring in Brian O'Connor and expect to not host a regional. That can't happen. So if that does happen, that's a disappointment.
Yeah. Brent says if State hitters would stop trying to pull everything and go with the pitch, I think they'll be fine.
Brent, if you listen to tomorrow's podcast, you will find that a former Diamond Dog star agrees with you. He talked about that quite a bit. He said that he just feels like everybody's thinking about pulling it. And he said the two hits in the eighth inning that were unlucky but were hit really well were Aiden Teal, who's goes the other way, and the shortstop just makes a ridiculously good play to stop it. And then Noah Sullivan gives it a ride out to the track, but he goes the other way. And everybody else is just trying to pull the baseball right now, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Not at all. The NFL draft, by the way, next week, correct?
Next Thursday it starts.
Next Thursday.
Yeah.
And you will be back in time for that.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm here tomorrow. I really should take tomorrow off.
No.
Say the heck with this.
I'm not prepared.
Huh? Oh, you're not prepared, are you?
I'm
giving you 24 hours. No, or not 24. I'm giving you 22 hours.
I will prepare, but
yeah, I'm here tomorrow, and then I'm out, and then I'll be back a week from tomorrow.
Beautiful.
I'm out next Monday, so I've already reached out to State. I'll be back in town like in the afternoon. I might be able to get O'Connor in a situation where we have to play his interview on Tuesday, but we will have O'Connor on the show at some point next week.
There was some news. It's old news, but it's new to the public about a star in the upcoming NFL draft, Ruben Bain.
Mm-hmm.
in March of 2024, was cited at the time for careless driving after a crash in Miami that left a passenger in a coma. That passenger, a 22-year-old at the time, died 3 months later. And we are just now learning about this accident.
Never heard of this until yesterday is when I think I saw this.
Yes. And what is very annoying when it comes to reporting is the second something like this happens, oh, well, I knew about this a long time ago and I didn't say anything to anybody. Well, then you didn't know.
You failed your job.
But the way it was initially reported does not tell the full story about the incident. The family of the person that tragically passed away as a result of this accident released a statement saying that it's a tragic accident that occurred several years ago. The loss remains painful for our family. We have worked hard to find peace and move forward. At this time, we are not seeking public attention surrounding this tragedy and respectfully request that our family's privacy be honored. We also wish Mr. Bain the best as he continues his life and career. He was not intoxicated, and he was actually not charged.
So he just had an accident.
It was a car accident, a real, true car accident where the worst possible outcome happened, but the family of the deceased wishes him well. They don't want anything. They're not asking for anything. They did not release this. So it's sad from a draft perspective. He's good to select it. Somebody had a quote from an NFL GM. This could be his Laramie Tunsil moment. No, I don't foresee that happening when the family of the person is like, it was an accident, guys. We wish him well. Don't do this. But the fact that this never got out at all is crazy if you think about it. He played 2 years at Miami after this happened, and nobody knew anything. That's crazy how that was covered up, in effect.
This is one of the most highly talked about college football players in the country. And I never heard a word about this. You know, you and I follow college football very closely. And I mean, goodness gracious, Miami played for the national title this year. This is the kind of story that people would talk about. And we never heard about it. So something there.
Yeah. But again, seems like based on everything that has come out of it, he's good to still pick.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad story. But again, not intoxicated. No indications of that in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, that will be next week, though. A week from Thursday, the first round of the NFL draft. And Mendoza's going first overall. There you go. Spoiler alert, guys. They also reduced the time to pick.
Oh, did they? That's
by
good.
A couple of minutes.
They need to do that. It just doesn't make sense to take that much time. You know who you're going to get, especially like the first 10 picks. They know.
That reduces it by a full hour, though. Think about it.
That's great.
2 minutes per pick reduces the draft by an hour.
We just get it back on Saturday. I'd be so happy.
Sports Talk Mississippi will wrap the show up with you next.
And the Venable Sports Talk Mississippi, your new home for exclusive sports coverage here in the Magnolia State.
Let me put it to you this way.
Right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Call up Trudy on the telephone. Send her a letter in the mail.
Hockey and basketball playoffs, if that's your thing, are going to get started not too terribly long from now. The post-Masters hangover hits me hard. Really hard. Now, I'll watch the Heritage this weekend and stuff, but I don't know what to do with my hands for the next few weeks. Just regular season baseball. The Pelicans aren't in the playoffs.
We got the draft next weekend.
The draft next week's going to help a lot.
Yeah. You got WrestleMania. You can always just time to dive in.
What is it on?
You have Watch ESPN?
Yeah.
You're good.
And it's Sunday? What time?
It's Saturday and Sunday. It's a 2-day event. Oh, yeah. Well, it's in Las Vegas, so my guess is it probably starts around, I don't know off the top of my head. It probably starts around 5 our time. And it'll go till about 10 our time both nights.
Okay. I might could check it out then.
There you go. You can watch Pat McAfee. It'll be great.
He and Jelly Roll got in a fight recently, didn't they?
They are going to have a match very soon, and that's why I'm kind of out with WWE right now. I'm like, I can't with this.
You can't do it.
Like let the guys who actually know what they're doing in there wrestle. I don't want to. I don't want to watch or go to a concert. I don't want to go see Foo Fighters and Roman Reigns decides to come up there and do a guitar solo. I don't want to see that. I'm not interested in that. So kind of the same thing here. I want the people who I paid to watch to do the stuff. Call me crazy.
Jelly Roll looks great though. Physically.
He's lost a lot of weight. Good for him.
Yeah.
Got no business being involved in all this.
I mean, it's like having Kevin Hart at the Masters. See, now you know why I was being
No, I was with you on that. I was with you though.
Yeah, I don't want Jelly Roll with my wrestling.
Well, you mentioned that The Miz was at the Masters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want The Miz at the Masters, and I don't really want Rory McIlroy. He can come watch.
Yeah, sit front row.
Like, if you wanted to show me the gallery, be like, oh, there's WWE superstar The Miz on the 16th hole.
Sure, yeah.
That's fine. But if he's got a part to play, I'm out. Same thing with wrestling. Rory McIlroy's in the front row with his kids watching WrestleMania. Great. Good for him. What a dad. Rory McIlroy jumps over the railing with a 9-iron and hits Seth Rollins. I'm out.
I'll just say, I don't think I ever foresee Rory and his daughter Poppy sitting front row at WrestleMania.
You never know. You never know, man. It's a celebrity thing now. It's kind of like being at a Lakers game.
On the broadcast yesterday, at one point, they were talking about his Champions Dinner, and I think it was Ilman was like, and of course, they put poppies on the table at the Champions Dinner in honor of his daughter Poppy. It's like, thanks, Trevor.
I couldn't have figured that out.
I can't do math.
So what's this person's name? Trevor Immelman?
Yeah, won the Masters. He's great on the broadcast, though. He's really, really insightful.
He's a Masters champion?
He is. 2008, I believe.
And he's British. He's South African. South African.
Yeah. Was it 08 that he won the Masters or 07?
He won the 08 Masters.
And Zach Johnson won in 07.
Okay.
Laying up on every single par 5, the worst Masters in history.
His wife has an incredible name.
Immelman's?
Yeah.
What is
Carmenita.
it? Carmenita Immelman.
Yeah.
How do you never call her name, right?
She's probably Carmen or Car or something like that.
Yeah. Or just, hey, babe.
Oh, well, who's married and calls their spouse by their name? What an awful thing that must be.
I use names in life.
I couldn't tell you the last time I called my
constantly
wife her name. Like if I called her by the full government. Like if I say Jennifer, something's wrong. All right? It's like a child is bleeding. One of the cats is sick. No, other than that, and if she's like Brian, I'm like, oh God, what did I do now? So yeah.
Carmenita.
Ole Miss has a Masters winner?
Yeah, Kerry Middlecoff.
What year was that?
In the 50s. 53?
Okay.
I believe that's correct.
I didn't know that. I learned something new today. I always thought that dogs laid eggs. So I learned something today. All right, tomorrow's show, we'll probably get some more national baseball stuff going for you guys tomorrow. I think that's probably the way to go. Maybe Kendall or Aaron, or we haven't had Jacob on in a few weeks. We'll bring him in. We'll also give a lot of look at the game in Pearl. Ole Miss, Southern Mississippi. State and Southern split this year. We'll see if the Rebels can get back on board and get a win. Southern Miss could really, really use that win with the way things have been going for them as of late. Plus some college football talk. And you never know what else. It's my last day of the week. Tomorrow's my Friday. Today was my Monday and my Thursday. Kind of weird how that works. All right, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. For Michael Borkey and for Rhino, who just snuck in there in case you're watching on SuperTalk TV. You see him, that handsome face. We'll talk to you again soon. I'm Brian Hadad. Thanks for tuning in today. Sports Talk Mississippi. Back tomorrow.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.